The Sunday after Christmas, the Sunday after Easter. You've heard me say it more than once since I've been here. Now there's the church. There's the church. We're together today. You know, Martin Luther talked about the church within the church. And what a great time of celebration, and thank you for being here today. Appreciate that. Kevin was leading us in some of these hymns, Christmas songs. And did you catch how old some of these are? You know, 200, 300, 400 plus years old, some of these hymns. Hymns of tradition, hymns that have been sung long, carry an incredible power with them, along with the Christmas message. The power of the Christmas message. What is Christmas all about? How does Christmas impact us? What was God's plan for Christmas in our lives? And some of these hymns play a huge part in that. And you might not know that we are right now celebrating a 100-year-old event that was an incredible event in the history of the world that involves these Christmas carols. It's one of the things I enjoy, the new praise music, the contemporary praise music, and as we stand up here and sing and praise God on Sunday mornings with the band and stuff, I certainly enjoy that. But it's just as easy for me if I were to go to a cathedral downtown and listen to the organ and open up a hymn book and sing some of those great songs that have been a part of the tradition for years and years and years. What remains to be seen, in my opinion, is the longevity of the praise choruses that we're singing today compared to the longevity of the hymns that are a part of the tradition of the church. World War I was notorious for its trench warfare. Long trenches were dug in order to protect the ground forces. And during the winter weather of rain and slush, these trenches often filled up with water, turning them into a cold, muddy slough. Soldiers talked about having to fight the mud every bit as much as fight the enemy. In some places, these trenches, enemy trenches, were only 60 yards apart from one another, enough that you could hear the enemy talking in the other trench, and you could smell them cooking their food. The space between those trenches got called no man's land. And some of you might know that phrase, as we use that phrase even today, to be in no man's land. On December 25th, Christmas Day, in 1914, that's 100 years ago right now, only 5 months after World War I began, the German, the British, and the French soldiers were already sick and tired of what seemed like senseless killing. And so they disobeyed their superiors and they fraternized with the enemy along 2/3 of that western front, along those trenches. That's a crime punishable by death in times of war. The words drifted across the frozen battlefield. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. To the ears of the British troops peering over their trench, the lyrics sung by the German soldiers was unfamiliar, but the haunting tune was unmistakable. And soon the British were joining in singing that Christmas hymn. So to this day, Historians continue to disagree over the specifics. No one knows where it began or how it spread across the trenches, but the men who lay shivering in those trenches embraced the true Christmas spirit. And in one of the truest acts of goodwill toward men, soldiers from both sides met together in no man's land. Over 100,000 are believed to have participated in this legendary Christmas truce. Along some of that 500-mile war front, the truce lasted all the way through New Year's Day. So we literally are celebrating this 100 years into the future. A century later, the truce is remembered as a testament to the power of hope and humanity in a truly dark hour of our human history. Most accounts suggest that the truce began with Christmas carol singing from the trenches on Christmas Eve. One soldier remembers it just like this. First, the Germans would sing one of their carols, and then we would sing one of ours, until we started singing, "O come, all ye faithful." And the Germans immediately joined singing the same hymn in Latin words, Adeste Fidelis. And I thought, wow, this is really a most extraordinary thing. Two nations both singing the same carol in the middle of a war. Wow. The next morning, along some of the line, German soldiers emerged from their trenches calling out "Merry Christmas" in English. And Allied soldiers out warily to greet them. In other places, Germans held up signs reading, "You no shoot, we no shoot." And over the course of the day, troops exchanged gifts of cigarettes, food, buttons, hats. They sang more Christmas carols and exchanged photographs of loved ones back home. They shared their rations, and they played football, roasted a couple pigs. Soldiers embraced men that they had been trying to kill only a few hours earlier. And they agreed to warn each other if the top brass forced them to fire their weapons again, and said they would aim too high. This is the power of the love that came down at Christmas. The Christmas truce also finally allowed both sides to bury the dead that had been laying for weeks in no man's land as they shot at each other. A shudder ran through the high command on either side. This was disaster in the making. Soldiers declaring their brotherhood with each other and refusing to fight. Generals on both sides declared this spontaneous peacemaking to be treasonous and subject to court-martial. And so by March of 1915, the fraternization movement was eradicated, and the killing was put back in full operation. And when armistice was reached in 1918, 15 million people had been killed in that war, one of the worst times in human history. The Christmas truce is particularly significant and is often seen as a symbolic movement of peace and humanity amidst one of the most violent events in human history. 19, one of the soldiers still alive from that event wrote this ballad.
I don't know.
Molly, just lead us through the slides, will you?
Let's turn to hymn number 239.